together with the local parishes. Right now, we are working through our school organizations for September. In elementary, we're identifying the number of classes, and for secondary, the number of courses that we'll be offering. After my update, we do have a presentation with regards to our e-learning program that is at the secondary level. We are planning with our traditional classroom ratios with an average of 24.5 for kindergarten and grade 4 to 8 and 20 for grade 1 to 3. And at the secondary level, our class size average is 23 to 1. Our new kindergarten parents have had an opportunity to participate in the kindergarten orientation sessions at each of the schools in preparation for September. We have planned an expansion of the AP courses and extended French program in Milton. So as many of you know, Bishop Redding High School has close to 3,000 students and growing. And so a decision was made that we will expand the AP courses and extended French program to St. Kateri for grade 9 starting in September. That involves the movement of about 272 students who are from the St. Kateri and St. Francis Xavier catchment, who will now start grade 9 at St. Kateri, with the hope that St. Kateri will be ready. It will be ready for the fall. We're hoping it's for September, right, to start the school year, but they will be in that new building for the fall. It's also wonderful to see the many extracurricular activities that are running in our schools. Athletics, arts clubs, etc., are taking place. Track and field is a huge event for elementary. And in the first week of June, actually starting next week, we have many of our schools participating in the Girls at Bat program with the Toronto Blue Jays. Some of our special education community events include our Life Skills Prom that will be happening at St. Francis Xavier in June, National Accessibility Week, May 26th to June 1st, with Red Shirt Day on Wednesday, May 29th. We will have our Special Olympics torch run in June, as well as our Deaf and Hard of Hearing picnic in June. All of our schools are planning our graduation liturgies and ceremonies. And if you have a student in grade 8 or grade 12 graduating, I'm sure you have the details with regards to that. For summer school at the secondary level, all the opportunities are e-learning opportunities, and there will be in-person programs for our grades 6, 7s, and 8s for literacy and numeracy. We will also have Camp Summerland for our elementary students, and we also have our special education program that will be running at our Lady of Victory again throughout 2 weeks in July. Together with the Catholic School Council, many of them are planning either their year-end events or their events for September. Through the Let's Connect session that we had earlier, that was what some of the conversation was, is how do we get ready with our Catholic School Councils for the fall, and how do we set up them so they have some events on the road to begin for September. All of our CPIC positions that had nominations have been filled, and I think that Lauren may be sharing that information. We'll be reaching out to the nominated candidates that have been selected tomorrow. Okay. We are going to invite the new candidates to the council chairs meeting on May 22nd. And so we will invite them also to the June meeting so they can be a guest at this meeting. Pro-grant events are running well. Many have completed their pro-grant event, and we will have that information to submit our final report. So this evening, we have a special presentation led by Superintendent M. Del Sordo. He is our Student Success and Pathways Superintendent. He is going to share with you information about our e-learning courses that will be offered through our secondary schools with the support of Vice Principal Sonia Ellison for Thomas Merton and our TELC lead consultant, Maureen Aslin.
Oh, I like that. No, my question was, in terms of the pass rates and where you drew those stats from, does that include summer school as part of an online learning or no?
It doesn't, the stats all come out of Prism. So
Okay.
the platform that we use to register students also has all the mark entry happens there as well.
Mhm.
So that's where all of that tracking comes
from. Okay.
Across the province, it was 94%, but ours was 97%.
Okay.
The other piece too, in terms of Prism, is there are a lot of features there. So if the student doesn't show up online or you missed a quiz, a teacher can go on Prism in our role for a kid that's outside, and they will send something that automatically goes to that student's guidance counselor. Can you please connect with the student who they haven't shown up? So all of the supports that are in a face-to-face are actually on an e-learning platform, so that teachers, because they're charging kids, that this kid is reach out. So there's a number of different features in person that allows these teachers to
Sorry, just a second part to that. In terms of the choosing with my blueprint, this was a question I actually posed to the principal of my daughter's school. Is it marked as on, like, is there a online on the blueprint? Because I don't remember my daughter talking about there being an actual word that said online as a choice. So we were a little confused.
So when you're going through my blueprint, you would see the different subject buckets, and then there's an online bucket itself, and you click on that, and then it would expand to all of the options that they can choose. We're discussing if that's really the best way to go next year or not, so open to any feedback that your daughter might have.
Yeah.
So if a student, grade 12 student, decides to do all online, is there rules that they have to either be in the province or be in Halton? Like if you do online and you're on your laptop, couldn't you essentially travel? Is there any policies or protocols around that?
So because we're part of a consortium, and the consortium is in Ontario, and it is a day school, right, in Ontario, right? This is happening in day school. Summer school, we have different rules. But day school in Ontario, we expect that the student is in Ontario. Now, we also know that there are occasions, if the student is an elite athlete, for example, and they need to travel out of the country for tournament or training, then there would be conversations ahead of time. Different school boards have different privacy rules sometimes around how, if they can access D2L from outside of certain regions. So our board is pretty tight with our rules. So if there's a student, say, from Bruce Gray Catholic taking a course with us, and they go out of the province, they may not have access to our D2L because of the way we have it locked in. So those are things that have to be discussed, but you have to be a resident of Ontario, in Ontario. Occasionally we can mitigate that, but otherwise we expect those.
Okay. And my second question is that if a student is like in a hybrid model, so maybe they take 1 or 2 courses online and then the other courses are in person, how are they going to get, like if they're taking their online course at home and then they have the second period is at school, how is that happening? Because, there's usually 5 minutes in between class. So how does that work?
It's asynchronous. So the beautiful thing about it is it's not set like a timetable. So you have to be on at 11 o'clock. The way it works is that wherever the student's timetable is for face-to-face, those classes get put in there, and then at any other period, their e-learning period is on, because they could work anywhere. They might not even work during that period. Oftentimes you have kids say, you know what, I'm going to study for my calculus test. The next period, I'm going to use this period as well to study for it. But I'm going to go home afterwards and I'm going to work on it. They can do that. They can do it in the evening. Some kids actually come to school and they go right to work because they need to save money for next year. And so they take e-learning because now they can really work at the place and still get the credits that they need. Right? So the flexibility is there. It's not that the kids are going to be purely true, you have to do e-learning. But that's the time that is assigned to you. If it works for you, great. If it works differently for you, that's a student could work anywhere to do. Because the classes of life.
I don't want to take more time, but we do have a few online students work after our students, some of the students. That's their
their choice, they don't have to do that. They'll have an office hour like 7 to 8 on Monday or whatever it is. We do have a few teachers that do that. Connect with the student.
Okay, thank you.
Final, I'm sorry. So is there a limit to the amount of classes you can take online? Can you do all?
Yes, we can. We will probably say,
No.
talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Only because we have, it's really triaging. If the student has a phobia, and just can't come into the class.
Okay.
If the kids, are high-end athletes and they have to travel a lot, we will probably do more work because we know that inside a building, a school, there is that school spirit. We want the kids to also tap into that. So we want them to experience that. But we triage based on the learner.
Okay.
So if, for example, a life situation happens, and I know we had one like that this year.
We actually have one.
So we want to encourage a lot of school spirit piece too. So that's why it's that balance.
I have another question, sorry. It's regarding academic integrity. So I know even with the universities, they were having a lot of issues during COVID with academic integrity. And you say that, a lot of the online learning, it's like 96% or 97%. So what is that policy? Like if a student is online, but doesn't have the camera on or doesn't, quite, aren't as,
It's asynchronous.
okay, so there's, okay, so, okay.
The same academic integrity policy that our board follows is also shared with the school, the boards outside in consortium, so they know their students know what our expectations are. The teachers do a lot of work to preempt that with activities that aren't easy to do with AI, for example. A lot of the teachers have come up with really creative ways to tailor tasks. So, for example, one of the math classes, instead of just using the example that's there, the student has to use their birthday as the number sequence that you're using in the question. So that's your birthday and my birthday are not the same. Our homework is not going to look the same. So sometimes there's little interesting ways that they kind of work around that. A lot of teachers are still having kids actually handwrite things, take pictures, and upload that as evidence of their. So it's not always done type work either. So some of those pieces help to keep kids a little more honest.
Okay.
And Maureen's working very hard to help teachers learn how to navigate this new world of AI that we should find
There's a
ourselves.
lot to say AI, but AI guidelines. Coming soon. Looking at the policy.
Yeah, I've got two questions. So one, how many courses are there where we were planning on offering them in person for the students who are like the high school students for the next school year, where we've had to cancel the in-person course and are only offering it online?
We only canceled.
Okay, that makes sense. And then the other question was just around the office hours. I know you said you're trying to do it at the beginning, at the end of the day. Will it be limited to school hours? I'm just thinking if a teacher says, okay, my office hours are only in first period. And then a student says, okay, but I have a class first period.
It's not recommended that you have to have an office. So is that what you mean? Like students that are in the teacher?
Yeah, so I'm just thinking like, so if a student is doing their course and they need to reach out to their teacher, is it going to like just Okay, thank you.
I'm next. I have a few questions. Regarding the communication of these changes for online learning, I have some parents that are kind of concerned about the lack of clear communication regarding these changes, and they feel that it kind of leaves them feeling unprepared in planning with their kids, especially on their pathways. So I'm wondering how that's going to be communicated, because the way it's communicated here is great, but it's very in depth. And I mean, just from our own experience at our own school, it was communicated in a way to the students who came back, and it was like a game of telephone to the parents, which was super confusing. So I just want to know what the board's going to be doing to communicate that these are the changes, this is what's happening. And my other question. Next. So for the students who are opting out of online learning, from my understanding is you can opt out, but there are specific courses that might only be offered online. What are you doing to support the students who may struggle with the asynchronous learning, who need those courses, who need those programs?
My question's around how do we deal with, or how are we supporting spec ed kids? So you have a kid who wants to participate in an online course, but may need some accommodations. How are we supporting those students?
And sorry, just one more question. And you probably said this in the beginning, but memory of a goldfish. So just for the grades we're doing online learning, is it like what? Remind me just which grades are being focused for those 42 courses.
And that's why, because
Right, just along that line, it just piqued my interest in terms of reach ahead courses and gifted kids in grade 8 who want to reach ahead in grade 9. Are you getting any interest in terms of that particular program? I'm no, I guess it would have to be in summer or yeah, or during this.
Wait, I have one more question. So I just have one more. Like, I know parents are worried about like the shift to online learning and how it may impact their kind of post-secondary pathways. So I'm just wondering, how do you, is there any sort of like success plan to address just even the concerns that like I don't even know how I'm supposed to explain this.
so like universities are accepting kids who take an online course?
Not necessarily, but just like the difference between, you know, the in-person and online. Like, is it?
Because it's opt out. So if it's not for your child, you can opt out. So you're not forced. So that's the thing. So when parents say, well, it's like for opt out. The goal right now is we're working in grade 9, or we're actually working in grade 8 with the pathway itinerants to really start looking at the IPP. So every student has done the outcome and continues to do. So those conversations have been had since grade 7, and they continue to be had with the guidance counselor. So at any time that a parent thinks, my kid is going here, or they change their mind, the guidance counselor, and then you remap what you need to remap. And that's why you have up to 34 credits in the case.
Do you really want to get into that now? Because I've got lots of questions on that.
One school and extension, because I have those questions. One school. Yeah.
I have them all.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it really is pathway plan, right? And it starts at grade 7. And you could go on my blueprint and look at your child's IDP, an individual pathway plan, because that's when they start getting their heads around it. And it usually changes at the end of grade 10, grade 11, because they kind of grow up and they see, I have 2 more years, this is what I want to do. That's a really good trigger point. Yeah, you too. That's not continue with them. Next speaker, we have me.
Thank you, Em. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Maureen. And just, so great presentation. And like you said, there's parents need to have this information to understand it. So this may be an important topic for our parent engagement sessions come the fall. And again, they have a communication plan. So first, the board's website has more information for parents. The schools are going to communicate this to parents. We already have the dates for our grade 8 orientations and things like this. So if we can get this out through CPIC as parent engagement for parents, I think this is going to be really helpful. Okay. Before I pass it to Marvin on the agenda, there's just one more item I want to share through strategic communications. So in January, our Board of Trustees approved the 2024 to 2028 multi-year strategic plan that will guide the work our school district will do for the next 4 years. The new MYSP will begin to be implemented in September 2024. Our strategic communications team is finalizing the materials that will be used to create awareness and understanding about the new MYSP. As part of this process, they're looking with our research services team to test messaging with various audiences to ensure it resonates with each group. So they're requesting assistance from CPIC at this time. They're looking for 8 to 10 parent volunteers to be part of the upcoming virtual focus group to share their input on the key messages and some of the sample materials that will go out to parents. There will be more information to follow. So this isn't just for CPIC. So we will invite members of CPIC if they're interested, but we'll also send it out to the Catholic School Council members. And what they're hoping for is representation from all the areas of the board. So through Catholic School Council chairs and then some members of CPIC to be a part of that. Okay. That's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Nancy?
How will this be communicated out for the volunteers?
It'll come through my office from Andrea.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nancy. Okay, and over to Marvin for the trustee update.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My update is not going to be as exciting as the one you just saw. But since the last CPIC meeting, we had 2 board meetings and we had 1 special board meeting. At the April 16th board meeting, there was a presentation on the ESL programming work done in our welcome centers and how our welcome centers support students and families, and we really make them feel welcome. At the same board meeting, we had some notable policies that were approved. Policy II-26, managing student risk in inter-school sports. Policy II-43, voluntary confidential self-identification of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit students. And policy II-45, equity and inclusive education policy. So these are the 3 policies at that board meeting. And a couple of staff reports, very exciting. 3 new school names were presented as a report at that board meeting. We also talked about the 2023-24 capital projects, which is a big thing for our schools, new projects. We talked about a long-term capital plan and the budget consultation survey results, which all parents have got a survey link. At the next board meeting on April 22nd, it was a special board meeting. And there was a motion to amend a motion previously adopted regarding the AP and IB programs. And you heard from Superintendent Dinolfo that staff has now have the ability to expand AP programs and IB programs, and we've done that in Milton. This amendment now allows staff to be agile and expand or relocate the AP programs as necessary, depending on projected numbers for the next year. So that's a very good thing. It's really an operational matter, and staff has now the ability to do so. At the May 7th board meeting, again, the recommended school names for Milton number 9, number 10, and Oakville number 4 elementary schools were approved and has now been sent to the Bishop's office for approval. This is really exciting to have 3 new schools in our system being named and being opened up in the same year. So we should have a name for the schools, hopefully at the next board meeting, provided Bishop Crosby gives his final blessing. And at the same meeting, the core educational funding. Now we talked about GSN all our lives, but we had to change our thinking to talk about core education funding, CEF. So GSNs are renamed to CEF. It was announced by the ministry a couple of weeks back, and a high-level presentation was given to trustees at the last board meeting. What trustees are up to? Yeah, some trustees have attended the OCST AGM, Niagara Falls, May 2nd to 4th, and there were opportunities for learning and networking with trustees across the province. This is important for trustees because you get to know what's happening elsewhere and some good practices, you get to learn that. And at the same time, our board presented 4 funding-related resolutions at the AGM. Last year, we had presented 4, all got approved, and the ministry is being petitioned for funding. We all know funding is a challenge. So again, all our resolutions were regarding funding, and so that was presented, it was passed. And there's another conference for trustees at the end of May. It's a Canadian Trustees Association, which will be held in Calgary. Some trustees will be going for that. And that's my report, and happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I've got one question. Because I'm a nerd who usually watches meetings. So first question, what happened with, there was something with, I saw online, it said that the meeting recording wasn't available or something?
Yes, so yes, all our meetings are being live streamed, but there's only that much that's in our hands. There are some things which are beyond our hands. There was a technical error which could not be rectified at that meeting. But I believe there was some tests being done today to make sure it does not happen again. Director Klein, any updates on that?
I think the test it passed for that one. Andrew, you might know as well, right? I think it passed for the streaming. I'm not sure if they did the test for the taping, but today's test in the afternoon worked well.
So yes, we want live stream to be there, and we want our parents to be able to watch that. But let's hope we don't have the problem again.
Okay, and when will the transcript of last week's meeting be available?
Director Klein.
Well, we'll have to see what staff can do tomorrow or the next day on that, but we'd have to, again, pull them away from other work to do that. So we'll do it as soon as possible.
So basically, it's a lot of manual work now where names got messed up, and so staff has to go through each and every bit of it. These are lessons learned. Hopefully, yeah, we should have a backup plan. If streaming does not work, then we need to do some recording. But again, things are beyond our control. We have to take responsibility for that. That's it.
Okay, and then just because there was one item that I saw on the agenda that I was interested in knowing how it unfolded, so I wanted to watch that bit. It was about the international student trips that Superintendent Cordero brought forward. Can you just give a brief update on what happened with that?
So Superintendent Cordero had, there was an action item to go on trips, which our board has been doing consistently over years. Sometimes they've been doing 4 trips, sometimes they're doing 3 trips, 2 trips, and sometimes these are not done trips during COVID times. So there was a motion, and Superintendent Cordero had put forth a motion to go on 1 trip. There was an amendment, another amendment, and the Board of Trustees have decided to allow 3 trips based on the report that was presented and the numbers and the projections. So in the future, next year, there are three trips planned. Those trips were backed by numbers, and those trips were projected to bring in certain number of students, certain number of revenue, and so the Board of Trustees believe that that would be beneficial to the board.
Okay, I'll wait till the transcript comes out, but I'll have some questions. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Okay, so moving on then to our OAPSI updates. Over to you, Denise.
Thank you. So as requested, I did bring some information for you. One of the questions was brought about some numbers and sort of communication. So OAPSI has put out, if you haven't visited the website, a position paper that was presented at the conference. It's my eyes are going to fail me here. It's called Empowering Parents and Preserving Catholic Education, Ensuring Student Success and Wellbeing in Ontario. So it's quite a lengthy paper. There was a question on the number of respondents. So actually, I'm going to thank, I think it was Lauren. I'm going to thank you, Lauren, here, because when you looked at the number of respondents and I put that forth to the executives, there's two different pages citing two different stats. So the actual stat is 750 plus respondents. So they are going to make a correction to that paper based on that. So there were 750 respondents to that survey that was put out. It's an OAPSE parent survey that's put out every year. And, getting feedback from parents across the province about particular issues and things that they want to be put forth to the ministry. And so that information, in terms of how to access that survey, is sent to OAPSE reps. It is sent also to the OAPSE reps to send on to their parent councils. It sits on the website open. So it was on there for quite a number of months to respond to, but it's also sent, the link is also sent to directors of education. And that is up to the director as to whether that continues to get sent out from that office or there's enough sufficiency at the lower level to have that survey responded to. So that's how that works. For that particular paper. Based on that particular paper, one of the items that did come up was the cell phones, the use of cell phones and the concerns about cell phones and vaping. So OAPSE has put out a statement in support of the Ministry of Education. I won't quote it for you. It's long in terms of video and everything. You're welcome to go on the OAPSE website. I do encourage you to go listen to the statement that OAPSE did put out, because that statement then put forth our OAPSE to be chosen as part of the task force that they are sitting on currently to respond as parents into that particular policy from the ministry. So they have had one meeting from that task force, and I'm then given updates after as to present what's going forth. The only update that I have is that there was not consensus from those sitting on the task force. So that's all I have as far as that is concerned. In terms of other things for me, I am required to, and I've mentioned it before, to produce a regional report on a monthly basis, or in this case, it was March and April. All of those are required by me to be posted on the OAPSE website. So if you go to Halton and you click under the region, you'll click under past reports, it's up there. It's a basically, I am required, because of it's a not-for-profit organization, to make sure everybody knows what everybody's doing. So all directors are required to post that. So you'll see what I have been doing up there. And that being said, the next meeting for OAPSE reps, formal meeting, will be the AGM. It's a virtual AGM. It's on June the 10th. So it's a meeting. The agenda is already posted on the website for them, the OAPSE reps, but it is the AGM at that particular point. And the only other thing for me is that it was a meeting that had to be moved. So I will be there going on May the 28th to Queen's Park to meet with Minister Lecce and also with Premier Ford, along with the OAPSE executive at that particular time. And other than the councils of chairs, where again, it's important that OAPSE is part of our council of chairs. I do appreciate being there because we have put in a motion where we are to make sure that being part of, the board, that we give our year-end report. It's not a long report, but it's an important report as a summary of what OAPSE has done, what they've achieved as part of the parent voice. And that's it for me. I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, so moving on to subcommittee updates. So school council support. You two.
So we gathered some feedback from our survey that we did for the toolkit. And worked through what came back in terms of data and resources. We want to present something at Council of Chairs, but we may need a meeting with maybe IT or someone just to kind of go through and see what it is that we're going to be allowed to have on there. So if that's possible.
I can set that up with you. Okay, so yeah, I'll set up some time. I'll figure out who in IT is going to be the support for that. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Parent community engagement.
We had our last parent engagement speaker event on May 2nd. We, on the topic of vaping, approximately 400 registered, approximately 100 people showed up online. That was our last event, so we're done with that. Then we're just working on the wrap up for Council of Chairs and the year's Volunteer of the Year award. That's it for us.
Okay, awesome. Just before I forget, because I might not catch you after the meeting, but I was thinking just one thing to do, possibly if we can manage it, and we might need to work on how exactly we do this, but just for Council of Chairs next week, maybe like doing a mini survey of the various chairs to be like, what kind of speaker events might you want to see for next year, so that when we get to our first meeting in September, that we can kind of hit the ground running with it. So that was just an idea I had, but I might forget to talk to you after the meeting. So
Yeah, I think our subcommittees have already started to think about possible ones that you guys can, the next subcommittee can kind of run with in the fall. So we're thinking about that already.
cool. Yeah, it was just specifically to maybe ask it at Council of Chairs to see what the people at that venue, just to help, like, as another avenue to try to get more input. But that was just a thought.
How would that work? We would have just an open, we could have an open dialogue. Would there be time and space for that?
I kind of just like you guys could do it during your, because you have a space to talk about kind of your recap of what you've done for the year. You could either just have it as open dialogues, ask people to put up their hands, or even like, I don't know, make a quick Google Forms and stick a QR code up and just be like, here, scan this, and just fill in a one-liner on what you'd like to see. And then you're just going to get everybody be like, okay, here, I'll just do it on my phone really quick, and I can put in whatever I want because I might be shy to put up my hand or whatever. And then it's just going through those options after. But that might be a really quick captive way to just get a bunch of feedback really quick on what they might like to see us put on next year.
Good.
Just an idea.
Yep. Thanks.
I can just add to that because it's kind of something that I was thinking of doing just to get a little bit more data for our toolkit. Maybe we can just combine and do a little quick survey QR code that they can fill out right then and there. We can talk to them. Yeah. Just
And
combine it. It'd be a good idea.
I love the idea, but maybe it's after every segment, because I love the captive audience. You finish and okay, everyone get out their phones, boom, and then just a very quick.
Or we can one go after one.
Yeah.
Put us together.
Yeah, whatever works.
Okay.
Just like we have a couple of audience there.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
You do the QR code, it's just like, you're super
Okay.
quick, take 5 seconds right now, fill it out, put submit.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, cool. Anybody have any other questions for? Nope. Cool. Okay. I don't have a ton to report from social. I've just been promoting the various events. I'll do the new CPIC members either this week or next week, depending on when we finalize it, when they accept it and whatever else. Last year, I think I did it right after Council of Chairs because I took a picture with the new members and then I posted it, I think, the day or two after Council of Chairs. So I'll probably do that next week. And otherwise, it's about it on socials. It's been a fairly quiet year, so not much to report there. Anybody have any questions for me? Okay, moving on to board committees. Okay, so bullying prevention. So that's me anyway. Quick update on that is we are still working on the new graphics that we want to do that we want to roll out for next year. There will be a bullying presentation at Council of Chairs on the pilot program that was run this year in 9 of the schools. Paula from the board will be talking about that. So it's a really cool program. And if Andrea and I can kind of get the draft graphics sorted out in the next week, we're going to try to bring it to Council of Chairs, but our next bullying meeting is not till after Council of Chairs. So I think we're just going to talk about it, but not show anything at Council of Chairs. But we'll figure that out over the course of the next week. So that's about it that I have for bullying.
Just a quick question on that, Lauren. The feedback that we provided on the policy changes.
Oh, yes. I don't think the new, is it on, Marvin, if you can, that's on tomorrow's policy. Okay, thank you. So that is on the agenda for tomorrow. I did get confirmation that they received our feedback. I haven't seen an updated version of the policy to see if what was put into it, but given the policy agenda will be out. So there should, and that'll have the redlined version. So I haven't had a chance to review it as of this weekend, but that is available online. Okay, just going through the rest of the committees quickly. Journeying with Jesus, Ada?
So as everyone knows, we're done with Journeying with Jesus. So we did the walk last week. We had over 150 entries for, there was a lot of kids that did put out their contest, and it was really nice. I was one of the judges, me and one of the student trustees. And so we narrowed it down to 5, and yeah. And everyone, I guess the contestants have received their, at least they know if they won or not. So it was really nice. It was really hard trying to judge because, you know, there's a lot of beautiful entries and trying to narrow it down and then choose from that 5. And it was really nice to see the kids all the way from JK to grade 12. So it was really an impressive one. So I'm glad to have been part of Journeying with Jesus. It was a beautiful committee to be part of. So thank you for letting me do it. So that's it. Any questions for me?
No, thank you very much. Mental health,
We had our mental health committee meeting on the 18th of April. We went over some initiatives and programs that are happening. There's one program called UJMA program, and it was a partnership with Roots Community Services, and it's been put in place to create a supportive environment for students in grades 6 to 8 who identify as Black. It really is a collaborative effort to foster community building and support with these students. The policy PPM 169 is, we were speaking about, it's a commitment to provide culturally responsive and evidence-informed mental health students. And the implementation of this outlines just the requirements for our board to support and validate existing mental health programs to ensure we meet the diverse needs of our students. There was a mental health summit that was collaborated with our Burlington firefighters, Halton Region, the Halton District School Board, and our board, which was a really successful event. They had about 150 students who participated, and it provided a great platform for meaningful discussions on mental health. There was a lot of positive feedback, particularly regarding the inclusion of male role models discussing mental health. So it really underscored the impact and importance of that. There's a pilot program for healthy relationships for 2S LGBTQIA+, and it's at Holy Trinity, and it was in collaboration with researchers at Western University. It just really aims to build confidence and skills with the 2SL plus community, and it focuses on reliance and coping strategies to those students, and it was met with a lot of positive feedback. And there was just various initiatives. Dare to Lead, Mental Health and Wellbeing, MDT, Safe Talk, Assist, and Mental Health Awareness Week. There's a lot of them actually. So these are just all providing kind of comprehensive approaches to mental health within our school system. There's been a lot of work put in through this committee with these programs and initiatives. So it's nice to see the impact on the students, like that it's happening. That's all.
Okay. Any questions for Emily? Nope. Okay. So and then the last one, regionalized specialized programming. Nothing, no update there. Okie doke. All right, moving on then. Okay, so next up is the Council of Chairs agenda for next week, which I think that's just in there to look at. I think it's not drafted. Is it still drafted? I've lost track.
Is it full? Is it a full agenda? Is there room for the, CETA has reached out to me because I think they were supposed to present to us at some point and we bumped it. So she says, is CPIC looking for the council chairs to do an update on the equity audit and the ABR plan? Do we have time in that agenda or is that fall?
No, I think we probably could
Okay.
make some time. Okay, I'll connect with you this week before we finalize the agenda
Okay.
then, and
Okay.
we'll try to
squeeze it in. So I'll let her know.
something in.
Okay.
There should be at least 5 minutes, I think, in the bullying one because we don't have the graphics. So I think at least that's can probably get reduced a little
She'll
bit.
probably need 10.
I'm sure we can find 10.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Okay. All right. I'll connect with you tomorrow about
Okay.
that.
Thanks.
Okay. Anybody have anything else on council chairs agenda?
Can we be mindful to add times to these just to make sure that everyone knows their lane?
Yeah, Nancy, we can, if we can connect, like I said, later this week, we'll add times into it before it gets sent out to everybody.
Otherwise,
Otherwise it's a disaster and I'm really strict on the timing. Tonight, not included.
Not so much. Yeah.
Sorry, Lauren, just to make sure that you put OAPSI for 5 minutes on here.
Okay.
I assume the name is the person that's presenting beside.
I think that was how it was meant to be.
Okay, so the Volunteer of the Year award is going to be Janelle, actually.
Okay,
for our
perfect.
Subcommittee.
Okay. Okay, we can make that change. Okay, perfect. Anything else on that? Okay. All right, next item then is okay, so this was discussed at the last meeting, was around the changing the bylaws around member attendance. I just watched the meetings because I wasn't here. However, when we went and actually looked at the bylaws actually already say that the requirement is 3 meetings for both the regular meetings and Council of Chairs. It is already combined. So there's no change required. So that's just that, and we'll move on. And Jerry, over to you for the next one.
Sure, no problem, Lauren. Yeah, so I mean, just on that last note, it's really now just a matter of enforcement, going forward. So, yeah, all members, current and new, will be have already been duly advised that of the attendance policy. So please do take note for next year. Okay, so the other amendment we wanted to make to the bylaws is, and this was actually decided some time ago, and now is the time to implement this change, and that has to do with the composition of our parent membership. So at a prior bylaw subcommittee meeting, we decided that it was appropriate to reconfigure a little bit the composition. So you can see the motion there. So whereas the CPIC shall be comprised of 3 parent representatives from each of Oakville, Burlington, North Halton, and 1 parent representative at large from any part of the region. And whereas the growth of Milton, expansion of the board, therefore therefore the need for specific representation has grown. I'm just going to make sure. Yeah, so be it resolved that the bylaw terms of reference be amended so that the at-large representative position be transitioned to 1 representative, and that actually should read from North Halton. Correct. Yeah, that should actually read transitioned to one representative from North Halton, and that the CPIC bylaw terms of reference be amended to read as follows. So membership CPIC shall be comprised of 3 parent representatives from each of Oakville, Burlington, and Milton, rather than the current version, which is Halton Hills instead of Milton. So that will now be Milton instead of Halton Hills, and then 1 representative from Halton Hills, or sorry, North Halton rather than Milton. Yeah. So that's that section is correct with the bullet points. Just the one edit needs to be made in the be it resolved paragraph above. So this will take effect next year for our elections for 2025 for the 2026-2028 cycle for parent members on CPIC. Okay, so for the next 2 years. So in other words, so I'm sitting in the at-large position. My term expires at the end of next year, and that's the time at which it will transition to be the 1 Halton Hill seat. Make sense? Okay. All right. And I think that's it. So with the 1 amendment, we're looking to move to pass. Before we do, any questions or discussion required?
It's basically the same, except you're taking like the at-large and making it.
Reassigning it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And probably importantly, recognizing the size of Milton, right? So rather than 3 from all of North Halton, it's 3 specifically from Milton. That's probably the biggest piece. And then maintaining a representation for the rest of Halton Hills or Halton Hills.
What's included in Halton Hills? Georgetown and
Acton. Yeah. Okay. All right. So if I had a motion or someone to move to accept this motion. Okay. Seconder. Thank you, Janelle. So Emily, take your pick. Anyone opposed? No. Okay. So we have it by unanimous consent. All right. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so our next item is an in-camera item, so we're just going to change the order of things up a little bit.
We are, so we can let some people go. So Father, you're here tonight with us, and you brought a beautiful prayer to close our meeting. So do you want to share that? And then we'll move in camera after that.
It's a Jubilee prayer, and Pope wants us to celebrate the Jubilee very well. So ask every Catholic communities to pray this prayer when we gather, so we can make use of that. Now we can pray together. Father in heaven, may the faith you have given us in your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord, the flame of charity and kingdom in our hearts by the Holy Spirit, reawaken in us the blessed hope for the coming of your kingdom. May your grace transform us into tireless copies of the seeds of the gospel. May those seeds transform from within both humanity and the whole cosmos, the sure expectation of your new heaven and a new earth, when, with the power of hope and Christ, your glory will shine eternally. May the grace of the Jubilee reawaken in us pilgrims of hope, a yearning for the treasures of heaven. May that same grace spread the joy and peace of our Redeemer throughout the earth. To you, our God, eternally blessed, be glory and praise forever.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.